The one thing I wish I knew before I started Etsy, how to list items? No. Wasn't how to take photographs, how to figure out pricing margins. It wasn't even how to source the items for my shop. It was the fact that in order to be successful on Etsy, I needed to treat it like a job, a job. Yep. I had to show up on Etsy with the same consistency that I would need to show up at any job to be successful. It was when I figured this out that things really began to turn around and take off for me in my shop. Let me tell you how I came to this conclusion. Hi, I'm Carol. I sell on Etsy. I'm a retired teacher, and even though I'm not an expert, I don't say I'm an expert at anything, and sometimes maybe I sound like I'm coming off as an expert. I know I'm not, but I try to share my experiences so that other people can grow their shops and be successful on Etsy too. After I retired, I started spending a lot of time shopping for antiques, and I started collecting a lot of things. Most of them were sets of dishes that were identical to the ones my grandmothers had had. Some were glass pieces, especially Blinko glass or any West Virginia glass. I love to collect that because my family's from West Virginia. But over time, I collected so much stuff that even though we live in Michigan, we have a large house. I have a lot of wall space. I have a lot of shelves. I have a lot of tables. They soon filled up. And I thought, if I'm going to continue this habit of antique shopping, I need to find some way to not keep it all. And that was when I thought of Etsy. I had bought items from Etsy, but I thought I could take some of these items that were not the nearest dearest closest to my heart and sell them on Etsy to people who would treasure them and curate them into their own homes. And I thought I might recoup a little bit of the money that I had spent on my vintage and antiques over time, even though I'd really never been in sales. Now, if you've watched some of my earlier videos, you know that I used to work for Montgomery Ward. And if you're too young to know what that is, you can look it up. And even though I worked there, and of course it was a retail store, I was really more in merchandising. I wasn't really in the selling part of it, if you know what I mean. I was doing more curating than I was ringing up at the register and helping customers. So I really did not have the sales experience, certainly didn't have any marketing experience. I had no bookkeeping experience. In fact, the class that I despised the most in college was my accounting class, because the way they set up their columns in their sheets did not seem logical to me. I had other ways I would rather do it, but nonetheless, I did not really come to Etsy with the kind of experience that maybe a lot of people who've been very successful on Etsy have come in with. Yet I did come in with a heart for vintage and a heart for sharing stories about items, and with the attitude that I thought maybe I could make a difference in someone's life in the way they decorated their home, the gifts they gave. And so I started my Etsy journey in the fall of 2022. And I also thought of Etsy as a positive way to spend some of my retirement time. Now, you don't know me very well. You've only seen a few videos, and probably none of my personality has come out in that. But I am kind of a type A personality. I need to be busy all the time, and not just busy watching shows on TV. Um, I'm happy to be busy cleaning my house, but once it's clean, then I need to have something else to do that is actually not just consuming, but producing something, creating something. I've always had a real creative tendency. So Etsy seemed like a really good stepping off point for that for me. So I started on Etsy and I put a few things up, and the turning point came for me in December of 2022 when one afternoon I heard cha-ching on my phone about every 20 minutes for 2 or 3 hours. It didn't go on forever, but I felt so much accomplishment at actually selling not just one thing every few days, but several things in one day. And I realized the reason that that had happened was I had had a couple of weeks where I had been listing a lot of new items in my shop, trying to work towards having 100 items in my shop altogether, just getting started. So I realized that all that time I had put in listing items was paying off. And a light bulb came on in my brain, and I thought, what if I listed consistently all the time, not just right before Christmas? And so I decided to try it. So I started setting goals and holding myself accountable. The first thing, like I mentioned, was I wanted to get 100 things listed in my shop. So after Christmas that year, 2022, when we returned to Florida in January of 2023, I started trying to list more consistently and really working hard towards my goal of having 100 things listed in my shop. And that meant I had to do a lot more sourcing, had to do a lot more photography, I had to do a lot more writing of listings, titles, tags, and I had to really make Etsy a normal part of my day, not just something I did once in a while for a hobby. Eventually, I set the goal of listing 2 or 3 things every single day. And at that point, I was still doing one item at a time. I would clean it up, I would list it in my inventory, I would photograph it, then I would list it, then I would publish that listing. And I would do 2 or 3 a day. And eventually I had 100 listings, and my sales really did start to pick up. So I kept working and sourcing and photographing and listing. And eventually I had 200 items in my shop. Now, later, I came to the realization, and by later, I mean like a couple years later, I came to the realization that there is a limit of the amount of stuff that I want to have in my shop. There's a limit to the amount of inventory that I want to carry, especially when we were actually physically moving all of that inventory back and forth between Michigan and Florida each spring and fall. Now, if you've seen some of my videos, you know that I have decided I'm going to leave half of my inventory in Michigan and have half of my inventory in Florida, and only carry back and forth 4 bins of wedding cake toppers and anniversary items, because those are my good sellers that sell all the time. That's all I'll be carrying back and forth. So those listing goals of first going towards 100 items, then 200, and then 2 or 3 per day, or 10 to 12 per week, that really helped get my Etsy shop going. Now, I did track my inventory to begin with, but I really didn't track any of my financials. My husband's the financial genius in this family. He's the one who set up my inventory sheets. He's the one who takes care of everything for our taxes. I do the sourcing and the listing, and he does all of the money involved types of activities for this business. Initially, I only really saw the dollar amount of profit for each item when I filled in my inventory sheet after a sale. So my inventory sheets, and I'll list that video up here that I explained my inventory system in. But I put the item, how much I paid for the item, how much I sold the item for, and how much shipping was, and then I can see how many dollars of profit I made. And that was okay for a while, but then as my business grew, I realized I really needed to keep track of my profit, of my margin, in order to be able to source effectively and not pay too much for items that I was going to then sell in my shop. So that has definitely evolved, and my husband has stayed consistent, keeping track of all the financials for this business. One lesson that I did learn, and it took about a year, and I know I've mentioned this in other videos, but it really does fit into here, was that I really could not sustain my business with free shipping unless I wanted to overprice my items so much that it would make my items seem just not affordable to most people, because I realized very quickly I was selling probably 20 to 30% of my sales were getting shipped to the West Coast, to California, Washington, or Oregon. And the shipping was sometimes double from Florida or Michigan to ship out to the West Coast. And I was only figuring the amount of shipping into my price that was for within my own shipping zone or within a shipping zone that was adjacent to my own. And once I realized this is just not working for West Coast sales, and I decided to switch to calculated shipping, that really became a more fair way, I thought, of pricing my items, because then each person would go into it knowing that when they purchased something from me, it was their distance from my shop that really made the difference in the shipping, and not just some arbitrary price I had slapped onto something to cover all of the odds of different shipping scenarios. So switching to calculated shipping was also a big turnaround in my business. Now, eventually, this idea of listing 2 or 3 things per day did kind of permeate itself into my norm, my everyday life. I set up a place in both of our homes where I could leave my photo box set up at all times. So if I had a few minutes to go and take some photos, it was right there. I didn't have to pull everything out and make a place to sit the photo box. I found a place where I could leave it set up all the time. Once I could leave my photo box set up all the time, I would just snap some photos. And then whenever I felt like jumping on the computer, which I started leaving out on the island in the kitchen all the time, I could process a batch of photos. And I started processing photos, leaving those photos in files on my computer, so that when I got ready to do a listing, the photos were already ready. And that really helped to expedite the amount of time that it took for each listing, because I wasn't starting from scratch for every single listing. I learned that it was easier to pack orders right when they came through or that evening than to let them all go for a couple of days and then try to hurry up and get them all out. So, just in case you ever order from me at, say, 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm probably going to go ahead within 10 minutes of that order and pack up that item, get it ready to go to the post office the next day. My husband is pretty much in the habit of going to the post office every day to drop off my orders. Now, this consistency that I was developing also spread into my sourcing of items. Where I live in this community in Central Florida, we have both a Salvation Army and a Goodwill. And even though the Goodwill prices are starting to get crazy here, the Salvation Army prices are still pretty good. And the Salvation Army that we have here in my community is way better than any that I've been to in Michigan. There really are some quality items that come through there. So, because it's kind of centrally located, and if we go to the post office, we go past the Goodwill and the Salvation Army. If we go to the grocery store, we pass the Goodwill and the Salvation Army. So I kind of got used to, anytime I would go out for something, I would just stop by and see what was new that day, because the best time to source items is right when they're getting put out on the shelf. I think there are a lot of people who are resellers in my community because the good stuff goes really fast. So I developed consistency with my listing habits, with my photographs, with making my listing, consistency with taking care of my inventory. As soon as I would buy it, I would bring it home, clean it up, list it in my inventory sheet, and consistency in my sourcing. So all of this consistency spells what? It spells a job, doesn't it? Once I made that mindset shift from Etsy is my hobby to Etsy is my job, everything changed. My shop grew. And I say everything changed and it's a job Please don't take that negatively, because to me, I was happy that Etsy was my job. And I can't tell you how many times I've spent a lovely day sourcing, uh, photographing, listing, and just packing away items to wait to be sold. And I've thought to myself, wow, this sure beats those hectic days that I spent in a middle school trying to teach 120 sixth, seventh, and eighth graders every day. This is so much more peaceful than that job ever was. My consistency has led to more regular sales and to me really feeling like my efforts are paying off. Now, it's not that I think I'm ever going to become rich selling vintage on Etsy. I see on YouTube all the time people who have thousands and thousands of dollars of sales, and they're usually digital products or print on demand, at least from what they say. I haven't seen too many vintage Etsy sellers come on YouTube and say, oh, I made $50,000 this month, because that would take an awful lot of sourcing and listing, considering every item we put up is usually a one of a kind. So I know I'm not going to become rich on Etsy, but I know now that I can affect my sales and affect my traffic to my store just with my consistency. If you're starting out and you are treating Etsy like a hobby and that's making you happy, then stay there. Don't change a thing. If you want to take your Etsy shop, your Etsy vintage shop, to the next level, I suggest starting to think of it as a job. You can think of it as a little part time job if you want, but the key is the consistency. Stay consistent with your sourcing, with your listing, with your shipping. Don't underestimate the power of consistency. What's one thing that you wish you knew when you started on Etsy? Please drop that in the comments below. I love reading your comments. They really make me think. And I'm so happy that we have a community around this channel where people are happy to share and they're willing to put themselves out there, because I am really putting myself out here too on this channel. And I do appreciate all of your subscriptions. I appreciate your likes, your shares. People have actually been sharing these videos, which I think is so cool. And also, I just appreciate you being here watching. Have a great day.